Welcome to Great Futures Augusta podcast, powered by Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Augusta and Get Up Productions. Our podcasts are hosted by the Youth of the Year, present and past, asking the tough questions with our local and national leaders on how to create greater futures. Great Futures Augusta podcast starts now.
What's up, everybody? My name is McKenzie Watson.
I'm Antoniyah Rowland.
And welcome back to the Great Futures of Augusta podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, but before we introduce him, let's give a brief history of him.
Retired Army Lieutenant General Leslie Smith is the CEO of the L.V. Smith Corporate Leadership Group and current Carter Chair for Leadership at Georgia Southern University. He received his commission from Georgia Southern University as a Field Artillery Officer. He has a Bachelor's of Science in Accounting and is a distinguished military graduate.
He was also the first chemical officer to serve at the Office of the Secretary General. He's a veteran of Operations Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and New Dawn campaigns. So everybody, let's give it up for Lieutenant General Leslie Smith.
Yes. Well, we got to work on that bio. You know, yeah, it's okay. So Secretary of the Army, don't be looking over it. Then we can talk about that. We can talk about where we're doing that. This is all fun. This is good stuff. So what you want to ask me?
Okay, I'll start with the first question.
Sure.
So, what was your best memory from Warren Boys Club?
Yeah, I think the best memory well, first off, thanks you guys for inviting me. You know, I do a lot of time interviews myself. So being interviewed by you guys is good, but it's also intimidating because y'all got all the questions. It's crazy, but yeah, my best memories was learning how to swim and then playing basketball at the Warren Boys Club at the time. It wasn't a Boys and Girls Club; it was only a boys club.
Yeah. Well, my first question is: looking back at your career, what do you hope that your legacy will be? Oh,
wow. Well, legacy is about the investment that you make in others. I think, and I want my legacy to be the thing that I help people achieve the goals for things that they first could see, and then sometimes things that they couldn't see, because that's what leaders are supposed to do: give people goals and objectives that are much broader than what they think they can achieve themselves.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I'm very practiced at this. Did you know generals go to school for learning how to speak? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, we go to a week-long school, and they actually put you on video, just like we're doing now. And they record you, and then somebody critiques your recording. And like, oh, excuse me. Like, oh, you did this well, you didn't do that part well. So yeah, we have a lot of practice on that.
Okay, for my next question, when you were a teenager, who inspired you the most?
Wow, that's a great question. I think it's the village. I've been talking a lot about the village. You guys know what the village concept is?
No.
Okay, let me tell you. So we are all come from a village, whether or not we believe it or not. So wherever you're from, you're like your immediate family and others are responsible for your upbringing, right? That's why we're having this podcast today. So I'm part of the Boys and Girls Club village, just like you're part of the Boys and Girls Club Augusta village. And so the village is so important. I think my mom, because she was the one that raised my older sister and younger brother when we lost our dad at the age of 5. But the village, the uncles and aunts, the teachers, the clergy, the club, the YMCA, all those people are responsible for helping us achieve the goals that we're called to do, right? And so that's what I think they inspired me. So they showed me what the things and options and opportunities were that we were able to do. And I just kind of followed along. I'm an easy guy. You tell me something good, I'm going to do it.
To follow up
Sure.
on what you just said, would you say that the village that you create or the village that you find is just as important as the village that you're born into?
Yes. And I would say it's one and the same, because the village that you're born into is the village that you have, but the village that you expand yourself into is about what you do. So you guys are creating a village of podcasting, of other people that engage. We just found that out when we first started. I'm doing a podcast. You guys are doing a podcast. Now you're getting into the village of podcasting, right? So the village of being great students at school, that's another village of things. Helping other people, and then the connections that you make is another village, as long as you're using to help other people achieve their goals. That's why I'm going to net with you today.
That's a good answer. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I keep telling you, we're practicing these answers.
Okay, I'll go again. Could you share a defining moment or mission in your military career that had a significant impact on you?
Oh wow, that's a very good question. So I think probably every job you do prepares you for the job that you're going to do in the future before you know you got to do it. So for example, people ask me, "Where's the best place that you've been?" All of them. You're like, "What? How can it be all of them?" Because all of them build you upon what you're going to be in the future, right? So I would probably say every job. Jumping out of airplanes was great. Being at Fort Polk, Louisiana was great. Yes, it was fun. Yeah, jumping out of planes is great. You're from Louisiana?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am from
What
New
part?
Orleans, 504. Whoop, whoop.
Nice. Yeah. So we spent some time, but where Fort Polk, now Fort Johnson, is in the Pine Cities of up there. So it's close to Texas. So it's in the middle of nowhere. That's what most Army bases are, because you need land to be able to do stuff. So yeah, it was all of them stacked on top of each other. But I think the last job as Inspector General was great because I had a chance to see the entire Army. So the Inspector General is responsible for inspections, assistance, and investigations for 1.2 million soldiers and civilians. Yeah. Yeah, you don't do it directly, but you do it through others, right?
Yeah.
So you have people that are responsible for the school. So I worked for the Secretary of the Army. That's one correction. He was my boss. She was my boss, the last one. And then who worked for the Secretary of Defense, who worked for the president. So imagine something coming down from the president, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Army to me. And so, but the Army, just like life prepares you for what you're going to do, the things you're doing now is going to prepare you for what you're going to do in the future, even before you know you got to do it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So all of them stack on top of each other. So the other part that we didn't talk about, I'm the vice president for, you can see this right there, Association of the United States Army, vice president for leadership and education. So we focus on telling people about what the Army does, engaging soldiers and their families about what are the great things that they have the ability to do. Talk a lot about leadership development and those type of things.
Okay.
Another good answer. Yes. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
What impact has the Boys and Girls Clubs made upon you to shape who you are today? So
Yeah.
not just the Warren Boys Club, but Boys and Girls Clubs in general.
Yeah. So, I sit on the national board now for Boys and Girls Club. And I will tell you that it has exposed me to things that I thought I knew, but I had no idea about the reach and breadth and depth. And I don't know if your listeners understand that, but the number of kids that are in Boys and Girls Club, over 5,000 clubs. Did you know that? Across the United States. That's huge, right? It's a big deal. And big impact across those things. The other part that I did not realize was how we, like that village, have to all come along and help together. So right now, today, I'm in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, with the Tar Region clubs, speaking to some folks tonight. But I realized that we need the Boys and Girls Club, we need the Boy Scouts, we need the Scouts, we need the YMCA, we need ROTC, we need the churches, we need everybody together to help see how we bring this thing together, because we're responsible for the pipeline. You guys understand what I'm talking about? The
Yes.
pipeline? Okay, tell me what's the pipeline, since I'm asking you a question now. What is it?
What I took from the word pipeline was, for example, you were a member of the Boys Club and now you serve on the board, and you're pouring in information into the next generation of Boys and Girls Club kids. And so it's a pipeline of success. It's a
That's right.
pipeline of great leaders.
That's right. Exactly. So we're responsible for creating the pipelines that follow us. Either it's going to be a positive pipeline or a negative pipeline. My goal is to create a positive pipeline so you can say, yeah, I could do that one day, because I believe that you cannot be what you can't see. Okay? If you can't see it, then you can't be it. One thing to look at on TV, but if you see somebody face to face, remember the first time we met, you're like, man, he's a big old guy and he's bald headed, but he's pretty nice, right? I know that's what you thought, right? Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what it was. So, but my point is that's what we have to do as leaders.
Thanks.
How do you handle failure and setbacks? And what advice do you have for others facing similar challenges?
That's a very good question. I think first off, we take failure too literal. For example, the only way you get better is by making mistakes. Because if you never make a mistake, you can never get better. Because if everything's good, you're like, you don't know you need to improve something, right?
Yeah.
So failing is a way to do that. And I think the thing that's important is understand that failure helps you to succeed in areas where you never thought. I tell you a quick story. So as a kid growing up, I thought I was a pretty good athlete, but I didn't make a sporting team till I was a senior in high school. So imagine that. Exactly. I got cut from the basketball team, football team, and it was so disconcerting. And I don't know what the coaches thought or saw in me in my senior year. Maybe they felt sorry for me. I don't know. But it showed me what that gave me the ability to do. But it helped propel me into, I think, into the man I am today because I know how to deal with failure. And for our listeners, life isn't perfect. So you got to understand that it's okay to fail. And we want you to fail in a way that, doesn't hurt you, but try stuff. Don't do things that are so easy that it's easy for you to do. Just like the first time you get on the podcast, you were nervous, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And now you're like pros because you've done it more than once, right? And then the more you do it, the better you get. And the better you get, the better it is. And the better it is, the more comfortable you are. And that's just the way it works. So yes, failure is fine. And life is not perfect, people. We shouldn't expect, even if it's on our phones, we think everything's perfect. We know it's not perfect, but it's okay. It's okay to fail. And since y'all waiting on me to ask a question, tell me about you guys. So 2 juniors, what do you want to do?
Go first.
Yeah, you go first. Tell everybody your name and then say what you want to do.
I'm Antoniyah.
Antoniyah, okay.
The Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Augusta 2023 Youth of the Year.
Yeah, baby. Okay.
And when I graduate high school, I plan to attend either Georgia Southern University or Kennesaw to major in nursing and minor in biology to become a nurse practitioner.
I know I'm not supposed to be clapping like that, but I'm sorry. Georgia Southern's where you need to go. You know why?
Why?
That's why I went to school.
I see.
Yeah, that's why. Guess what? My daughter and my wife my youngest daughter went to Georgia Southern, and she's at Howard Medical School right now. Oh, and you know what? So let me just tell you the other answer to the test. How are you going to pay for nursing school?
Scholarships.
Good. That's good. But I know I have another option for you too. Have you ever thought about Army ROTC and the nursing program? It's a full ride scholarship. Please look into it. Right? So how tall are you?
I think like 5'4".
5'4". We're going to grow you up when you become an Army ROTC officer.
There's a way to do that. I'm only 5 feet. Do I have to join to get taller too?
Yes. Okay. Literally. Okay. So tell us who you are, what you want to do.
Oh, my name is McKenzie Watson. I am 2022 Youth of the Year, and I'm also one of our national brand ambassadors.
Nice.
When I graduate high school, I plan to either go to Spelman or SCAD to study film and television production.
Nice. I see you have your fancy glasses on. So it's like, yeah. Okay, I got it going on. I'm proud of you guys. That's good. So the question is, here's the question. The question is based off that question. How do we encourage other people who can't see what you see to do what you need to do, what they need to do?
What I would say, what helped me figure out what I wanted to do was I thought about the things that when I look into my future, the one thing that never changes, anytime anybody asks me what I want to do or anytime anybody asks me what makes me happy, it's always entertainment. It's always television. It's always creating.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'll say is you find that thing that you think about every day without fail, the thing that you wake up thinking about, things that you go to sleep thinking about, that thing should be what you strive to do. Yeah. And especially if you love it to where it can become your career and you can do it for the rest of your life, I'll say definitely go for it.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is a calling.
Yes.
Okay. How about you, ma'am?
What? The thing that stuck out to me to find what I wanted to do was I would see on the news a lot during COVID that it was a lack of nurses in the nursing field, in the medical field. And I just felt bad and felt like sorrow for those people. And I was like, hey, I feel like I can get out there and be the missing person that they don't have.
That's right.
So yeah, that's what
Yeah.
inspired me.
That's good. And so as a ambassador and doing the great things that you're doing, that's how you got to get into middle schools and talking to other people about finding what people are passionate about. And passion does not mean that you won't be compensated well for it, but it's something that you're called to do. And for our listeners, we should always find what we're called to do, whether or not it's in our job or how we help people. So I'm called to be a Boys and Girls Club to help, but I'm called to be a vice president of the company too. Right. I'm called to sit on boards. So I sit on 3 corporate boards too. And I teach leadership at Georgia Southern. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, you see it right there. You want to know how that happened?
How?
You want to know? Okay. I'm giving you a question to ask me. So how it happened was when I was a 2-star general, they said, we really want you to come teach leadership at Georgia Southern. Then I made my 3rd star, and they're like, oh my goodness, you must come teach leadership at Georgia Southern. So I come there every quarter to talk about those different tenets that are important. And let's talk about those real quick. So, while we're talking, I want you to look these things up. So one of you guys look up the word trust, and somebody else look up the word honorable service. And so what we talk about in those areas, I look at trust as being the bedrock of everything that you do. So either one of you guys got cars?
No.
You got access to a car?
Yes.
Yeah. But do they just let you drive it anytime?
Well, I have to ask.
Exactly. But I'm saying, but before you learn how to drive, they wouldn't just give you the car because they couldn't trust you, right? Exactly. Right. What is trust? Give me the definition.
Firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something.
Yeah. And think about that. So this thing about trust is a big deal. So if we can figure out how we build trust in the people that where we work and where we serve, like a nurse and somebody in the entertainment field, then they could give you more responsibility, just like as a youth of the year, right? Yes. So you learned a lot because you went through the process to see what those things are, right? And there are a lot of people, a lot of young people who need to go through that process, even if they don't become the youth of the year. Okay, what is honorable service?
The definition that I found was the devotion to duty in defense of national consistent with the Army ethics.
Okay. Yeah, honorable service. It's about how you operate in the things that you do. And so if you think about a building, trust being the bedrock, and if the building is done right, if the foundation is right, the building is right, right? And if the foundation is not right, then the building's not right. So what can I help you guys with down there in Augusta Boys and Girls Club?
What I would say was I would love if you could come speak to our teens at our teen annex or at even our Hebert clubs, just all the teen centers, just to give them a core foundation of leadership or what it means to, find your calling and find what you mean to do.
Yeah. And that's a very good point. So another thing I talk to people about is this thing called servant leadership, right? So everybody wants to be in charge, right? But not many people want to serve. And I'm sure Secretary Rice said the same thing to you. The higher you go, the more you have to serve. Why do I say that?
I took that, what you just said, based on the further you move up in life, the more things that you would have to do, basically. Yeah. So,
yeah. But
say if you have a higher rank in the Army, or the more things that you have to do for others. Like if you was low level, you probably wouldn't have to do that much. But as you move up to become a lieutenant general, you have a higher status in life towards other people. So you have to do more.
Okay. What is that? How does that apply to you guys though?
What I can say is when we were both just regular attendees of the Boys and Girls Club without the Youth of the Year title, we weren't the ones that were being looked up to. We were looking up to somebody else. But last year, when I got the title of Youth of the Year, I was asked to talk to our clubs. I was asked to, help them with things that I wouldn't have helped them with before that I needed help with. Yeah. Same thing with Antoniyah. Antoniyah takes on many leadership roles now that she is the Youth of the Year. And we now have a bigger responsibility than just being in the club. We have to share the club's message.
Yeah, that's good. So as I talk to people, this thing about service, the more you serve others, the more you lead.
Right.
Let me say it again. The more you serve others, the more you lead. So like your CEOs, she might be the CEO, but she knows how to serve other people, right? That's why everybody likes her, and they're doing great things in the program there because of the things that they do, right? What else you want to ask me?
This is my last question for you.
Sure.
What can we do as teens and young adults in our local communities now that will help lead us to great futures?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good one. Well, we've been talking around it a lot, right? So it's about help the next generation that are coming behind you. Part of the challenge that I see is that, social media said this is what you got to have. But in fact, that's not really true. You got to help them see what the real deal is, and don't be afraid to talk about what those things are important. The other part tied to that is, I think, surround yourself with positive people going places, people doing things. If you're the smartest person in your group, you need to get another group. Yeah, you need to have people that challenge you, that inspire you, that help educate you on what those things are. And that doesn't necessarily have to be just your peers. Who else do you hang out with? Who do you talk to? Who's mentoring you? And so that's a question. You don't have to answer it now, but who's your mentor? And if you don't have one, how does one develop it?
Well, that was actually our last question for you today. So did you have any last words that you would like to say to our viewers or to us? Or
Yeah, sure. I am so proud of what you guys are doing at the Greater Augusta Boys and Girls Clubs. I'm so proud of what you have done as a Youth of the Year, because I know what it takes to get to that point. I would never be able to do it. You guys are way higher speed than me. I'm like nervous right now just being on this call with you. The other part that I will tell you is that the great futures start here when you participate. Let me say that again. Great futures start here when you participate. It just doesn't fall out of the sky.
Exactly.
Right? If you want to achieve greatness, you got to stay around great people doing great things. So my challenge to everybody that listen to your podcast is surround yourself with good people that you know they're going to be great one day. So some of the friends that I had 20 years ago, we're still friends today. We're all doing great things because we challenge each other. We encourage each other. Our kids know them. That's that, play uncles and play aunts. Right? Everybody's got them. That's the village. That's what I'm talking about. And so we have to help you guys see the village so you can create your own village as you grow. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Great futures do start here because of you two.
And because of you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, baby. All right.
Well,
I'm proud
thank
of
you,
you guys.
everybody, for tuning in to our Great Futures podcast, and we'll see you all on our next show. Bye.
You have been listening to Great Futures Augusta podcast, powered by Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Augusta and Get Up Productions. Voiceover by Shannon Holly Voiceovers. Learn more about our podcast and get involved at bgcgreateraugusta.org. Thank you for tuning in.